This is the Detroit Sports Podcast Network.
And with the 5th Top Cat Sales Football Coach of the Week for the 2017 high school football season, Coach Scott Merchant from Chippewa Valley High School. Coach, congratulations on the Coach of the Week honor.
Thank you very much.
And Coach, now you're receiving this for beating Macomb Dakota, Mac Red rival, in Week 7 of this season. First and foremost, what does it mean to win an award such as this?
Well, it's flattering, to have our program recognized. To me, any award that I ever get as a coach is just a reflection of our team and our coaching staff and our football program. So for me personally, I appreciate that people recognize the hard work that all of our kids and coaches have put in, and it's a validation of what we're working towards. So I don't take it as a personal award. I take it as a reflection of our whole team and our program. But we've got a great group of kids that work really hard, that definitely have some talent, and I have a great staff. So obviously it's nice to have that recognized. So thank you.
No problem, and much deserved. And once again, you're receiving this for beating Macomb Dakota in Week 7. What did it take to beat Dakota?
Well, obviously it's a rivalry game. Not a whole lot needs to be said that week. Our kids know, that's one of our goals every year is to beat our rivals. These kids grew up together. The schools are 2 miles apart. 2 of the biggest schools in the state of Michigan. So there's a lot of people involved that have strong feelings one way or the other. So it's a pretty unique atmosphere. And again, on my end, that's a week I really don't have to do a whole lot in terms of motivation or pumping up. It's more about just focusing on the task at hand and trying to get better and execute the game plan that we have in place, and then almost keeping the kids on an even keel and having them hopefully peak on Friday night instead of like being ready to go crazy on Monday. So I thought our kids prepared really well that week, and then the first quarter was a little dicey, and then from the last play of the first quarter, I felt like our kids did a phenomenal job and executed and played extremely well.
Now, going back to earlier in the season, to the contest against Utica Eisenhower, and the only loss of the campaign thus far, how much would you like to have that first half back and, start off better? Really the first 3 quarters, because I know that really hurt you guys, and you might have won the game if it wasn't for the slow start to that game against Ike.
It doesn't do any good to say, hey, can we go back and, coulda, shoulda, woulda. Credit to Utica Eisenhower. They have a great team, and obviously they deserve to win that game. But I think, in the long run, that game's helped us. It helped us focus. It helped us understand that, we can't wait a half to start playing football. So I think there was a lot of positive things that came out of that game. I think for as well as we played offensively, I think defensively we've improved tremendously in the last 4 weeks. I think our first string defense has only given up 1 touchdown in the last 4 games. So, there were things that happened during that game that forced us as a staff and as a team to sit down and say, okay, look, we know they're a really good team, and kudos to them, but what can we do better, or what can we do differently? And so I think in many ways that was positive. In the first half of that game, we turned the ball over, and I think we punted, and we couldn't keep pace. They scored all 4 possessions. They had the ball, and we only had the ball 3 times in the first half. So we scored on 1. We drove inside, I want to say like they're 30 on 1, and fumbled on a fumble that it wasn't like somebody was hit. We messed up and exchanged. And so like those kind of mistakes against a team like Eisenhower, you can't have those. And then, we punted once. So we did have 1 3 and out. But really, the other 2 times we had the ball, we stopped ourselves on the one drive and we scored the other drive. So it wasn't like we weren't moving the ball. We weren't stopping them. And then in the second half, we scored every time we had the ball except for the last series where we threw 2 Hail Marys into the end zone, which, we came up about a foot short on the second one. So there were a lot of positives from that game. Our kids didn't give up. They kept fighting. Even though we might not have played our best game, they played hard. The effort was there. We just made some mistakes, and like I said, Eisenhower's a great team, and they made a lot of good plays. And so I think that's made us a better football team in the end. If we would have come out and played our best game of the year right then and somehow won the game, I don't know if we'd be as good of a team right now. So that's what we say. We all make mistakes. We all have bumps in the road. As long as we learn from it and get better, then it was worth it. And I think our team definitely has been dominant since that game.
And I know Max Whitwer and that Utica Eisenhower offensive attack can be so dang hard to stop, too.
Absolutely. Yeah, Max, I don't know Max real well. I have a tremendous amount of respect for him as a competitor and as an athlete. I've heard nothing but positive things about him. He can run, he can throw. You can tell he's a great leader, that team, thrives and feeds off of him. So they really stress your defense because, they can spread you out. They can, tighten things up. They can run right at you. They can run wide. They can throw the ball, drop back. They can play action you. So you really have to be disciplined and read your keys and execute. And, they were gashing us pretty good on the outside run in that game, and that opened up the play action passing game because our secondary was feeling the pressure to come up and make plays in the run game. And when you do that, they have a good staff, and they made some great calls on when to fake an outside run and then go over the top on us. So when they get their opportunities, they're really good at executing. Like whether it's they ran a double reverse pass or a play action pass off their option play, when presented, they didn't really miss on any of their chances.
And now, for me, I would say that was your toughest opponent so far this season. Would you agree with that sentiment?
No question. Yeah, hands down.
And now you were talking about Max Whitwer, how great he's been for Ike. Your quarterback, your junior passer, Tommy Schuster, has been pretty darn good himself. I know that much. How would you evaluate his play up to this point in the season?
Yeah, I don't think Tommy gets the credit he always deserves, partially because of Max, and that's nothing against Max, but I don't think if we had a quarterback the caliber of Max Whitwer in the county, I think you'd hear more about Tommy. Personally, I think Tommy's the best passing quarterback around in the county. Right now I think he's got close to 1,500 yards, and he's thrown 18 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. Both interceptions were Hail Marys. So he's extremely efficient. He's only played in 3 full games. Quite frankly, when we're up in games, we're not throwing the ball and he's not in. So his stats, compared to maybe some other people, might not be as gaudy, but he's a 2-year starter, and we're 7-1, and having the opportunity to hopefully be 8-1 tonight. And I think if you look at the quality of our schedule and the wins we've had, a lot of that has to do with Tommy Schuster. And some people might have stats, but like against us, if you look at the scores, I think Tommy is right up there with Max. I give Max the edge just because he's a senior, but I'll put Tommy up against anybody. You're not going to get a lot of self-promotion, but I will promote him. He's an outstanding quarterback.
And what are your thoughts on playing New Baltimore Anchor Bay tonight?
I think Coach Powell has done a great job there. Seems like each year they've gotten better. Last year we played them in the last week of the year, and we were both 5-3, I believe, and we both had to win to automatically get in. We were able to win that game, and unfortunately for them, they didn't get in at 5-4. So, for them to be 6-2, that's a credit to them and their staff and their kids. I think they've been pretty dominant in their division in the white, and besides losing to Grosse Pointe South, they've really beaten everybody in that division pretty handily. So when you look at the numbers and you kind of compare like how many points they've scored versus points given up, they're very similar to us. So we know we're going to get a great effort out of them tonight, and they're playing with a lot of confidence. And obviously their goal is to come in here and get momentum going into the playoffs. And if they can beat us, that'd be I think a pretty big feather in their cap, and they'd have a chance to host a first-round playoff game. So we know it'll be a good challenge. We have a lot of good challenges. So for us, it's our senior night. We have 38 seniors that we want to honor, and to me, the best way we can honor them is to go out and play a really good football game.
And now, speaking of the playoffs, how well equipped do you think you and your squad are for making a deep run in this year's state playoffs?
Well, one thing we try to do is, we try to be a balanced football team. So I think we're a little different than some teams. I think some teams are really good at running the ball, or they might be really good at throwing the football. I think we're a very balanced team. We can run or throw the ball depending on what we're given defensively. So I think that's a little different than some teams. And I also think our defense is playing at an extremely high level right now. And with 38 seniors, a lot of experience on our team, we've played a tough conference schedule, which I think prepares us for the playoffs. So as long as we stay healthy, knock on wood,
yeah.
When we play well, we can beat anybody in the state of Michigan this year, without a doubt. And I think our kids understand that. And I think if they didn't understand that before the Eisenhower game, because we were kind of preaching that, I think they knew after that they could go toe-to-toe with anybody. Obviously, we have to play well and execute, but I think when we're on our game, I think we're a really, really good football team that I'd put up against anyone.
Coach Merchant, congratulations once again on receiving the 5th Top Cat Sales Football Coach of the Week, and best of luck the rest of the way in the playoffs.
I appreciate it. Thanks to Top Cat, and they did a great job with our uniforms, and appreciate the recognition on behalf of our program.